To get started, I am going to use 1 pound of lean ground beef. This is extra lean ground beef, so it's a 93:7 ratio. Okay, so I'm also going to be using a half teaspoon of ground cumin. You can adjust the ratio of these seasonings and spices. I'm also going to use a half teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of cracked black pepper. Next, I will be using a 1/4 cup of diced onion. This is a small dice. You can also use onion powder in place of this. I'm also going to use 2 cloves of fresh garlic minced. So now I'm going to start cooking and browning my meat. Okay, so here I have a preheated skillet that I put a little bit of oil in, and I'm going to start by sauteing the onions. Now, I have put out several enchilada videos, but I'm actually testing this recipe and tweaking it a little bit because I am going to be working on a cookbook. So for that reason, I'm redoing this video and I'm going to change a little bit of the seasoning ratios. But the original recipe I will put in the link below. So I am just going to continue combining all of these ingredients and browning and cooking out my ground beef. Okay, so my ground beef is completely cooked, so I'm going to just set this on the side and allow it to cool while I work on the next part of this recipe. Okay, so now I'm going to work on my corn tortillas. Basically, here I have pre-made corn tortillas and I am going to warm and heat them through. I'm going to take oil and put it on the griddle. You can also use a skillet or a pan, add a little bit of oil, and you're going to basically warm them through in the hot oil, and you are not going to fry them. Be sure you do not overcook this. This is crucial because you want to make your tortillas pliable enough to roll without breaking. Now, there are several ways that you can do this. I know in my past video, commenter said that you can lightly brush oil onto the surface of the tortilla, stack them up, place them in the microwave. Another person said just wrap them up and steam them. I find this method convenient for me and the easiest, and it gives me the result that I want when I'm making these, but definitely do what works for you. And I appreciate people leaving comments and tips because I like to build a community where we can help each other in the kitchen. So definitely do what works for you. But I am going to continue warming these through on my griddle. Okay, so all of my tortillas are done. As you can see, I can roll this up without it cracking or breaking, and that's exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to set these aside, and now I'm going to work on my sauce. I basically adjusted the sauce slightly. It slightly varies from the original way that I made it. So here I'm starting with a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. You could use the oil of your choice. Actually, I think I'm using avocado oil. Now I'm going to use 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 bouillon cube. This is a chicken flavored bouillon cube that I will be mixing with 2 cups of water. And the brand of bouillon cube that I use is Knorr brand. You can substitute the bouillon cube and the water for just chicken broth of your choice. I'm also going to use a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cumin, a half teaspoon of onion powder, a half teaspoon of garlic powder. And now I'm going to start combining these ingredients to get our sauce ready. So here I have a pan preheating. I'm adding my 1/4 cup of oil. And again, definitely use the oil that's convenient for you. I typically have a bottle of avocado oil sitting next to my stove all the time, so that's what I'm using. And now I'm going to sprinkle in my 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And I'm just going to give that a mix and a whisk and allow it to cook out for 30 seconds or so until I start adding the other ingredients. Now, once you've worked out all the lumps from the flour and it's combined with the oil, now I'm going to break apart my Knorr chicken bouillon cube right into the flour and oil and make sure that dissolves and combines as well. I'm going to work that out until all the lumps are smooth and combined with the roux that I'm making. Now, I've had comments in the past saying that Knorr brand bouillon cubes, or I believe bouillon cubes in general, are not very healthy. Well, to that, I have to say this. If you are looking for a healthier option in this recipe, you probably don't want to make this recipe. But I do agree, this is not the healthiest choice for chicken flavoring. So use your favorite chicken broth, 2 cups of that in place of the water and bouillon cube. Now I'm adding the chili powder, and I will be adding the rest of the seasonings and combining them with this roux. By the way, I am working with a medium heat. If you start smelling that your spices and seasonings are starting to smoke and possibly burn, take it off the heat and give the pan a chance to come back down so you don't burn these. I just want to wake up these dry seasonings and spices before adding my water. And if you are going to use chicken broth, you might use a low sodium chicken broth. You're going to have to adjust the salt in this because Knorr bouillon cubes are seasoned well. They are high in sodium, so you don't need to add extra salt. But if you are using a chicken broth, you'll want to add salt to taste. So I'm just going to add my water little by little, working out the lumps until my sauce is smooth. And it does take a lot of whisking. You don't want to let it get out of hand, and you just add the water little by little. Okay, so my sauce is done, and the consistency of the sauce is perfect. Now, if you want a thinner sauce or you find that it's too thick, then definitely keep maybe a half cup, a quarter cup of water on the side just to thin it out to make it workable. But otherwise, if you follow the ratio of ingredients, you'll be fine. Okay, so now that my sauce is done, it's time to assemble the enchiladas. I'm going to be using 12 ounces of cheddar cheese mixed with some Monterey Jack cheese. Colby Jack cheese is another cheese I like to use. So now I am going to get my workstation ready. I have everything to put these enchiladas together. By the way, in my original recipe, I normally use an 8-ounce block of cheddar cheese or Colby Jack cheese, but my kid wanted them extra cheesy today, so I'm going for 12 ounces of shredded cheese. So anywhere between 8 and 12 ounces works great in this recipe. So now to assemble these, I'm just going to add a little bit of cheese and a couple of tablespoons of ground beef. Now, you can definitely use spoons or gloves, but clean hands are more convenient in my kitchen, but definitely do what you prefer. So all I'm going to do is give it a tight roll and just start placing them side by side in the pan. By the way, please be sure to reserve at least half of the cheese because that's what you'll want to sprinkle on top. So I'm going to speed things up a bit and assemble all of these enchiladas. Okay, so the enchiladas are ready for the oven. I am going to cover them with aluminum foil, and I will be baking these at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes covered. I will remove the aluminum foil and continue baking for 10 to 15 minutes or until the cheese is all melted and bubbly. Okay, so I have removed my enchiladas straight from the oven. They smell fantastic. But the hardest part is allowing them to set. So you want to let them set for 10 to 15 minutes before cutting into them and serving. Okay, so it has been 10 minutes and I'm going in. And when I was trying to get this out of the pan, I wanted to get some good thumbnails, like from different angles and pulling one out of the pan. But I think I held it on the spatula way too long because it fell right back into the pan. Enchilada down! But no worries, we got you, little buddy. So this is going right onto my plate, and I'm going to cut into this so you can see how delicious and cheesy this is. So if you are ever looking for any cheat meal ideas, here's your recipe. So I hope you guys give this recipe a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching.